To make you aware, this podcast will contain conversations around mental health and well-being and could include issues of a sensitive nature. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.
Well, it's been a while.
It's been
A journey across the summer, here, there and everywhere. So much to catch up with.
Yeah, so we thought we'd use this time as a bit of reflection of what's been going on with Torfaen Talks and us and, everything that we've had going on.
Been talking to quite a few people, which we'll be catching up with on this episode, including Ben Black and something a bit special that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
There's also Tom Maloney taking me on a walk up Lasgarn Woods. Let's not talk about that walk because...
You were slightly unprepared.
I was... Slightly unprepared is not the word. And it's also World Alzheimer's Month too. So we're talking with a Dementia Friendly team from Aneurin Bevan University Health Board. Mm-hmm.
So it's an action-packed episode. That's without everything that we've got going on. So firstly, I need to address my voice. It's sort of okay at the minute.
Yeah.
But after about 20 minutes, it dips to non-existent.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this in short doses and see how it goes.
Short doses is the best way to describe it, to kind of just keep going back to it.
But those who know me well understand I'm not as squeaky as I usually am.
No.
But I would say the first thing we've got to mention is the September launch of Menno and Mind.
I know, wow. So we've been funded by National Lottery, so thank you to the players for that.
Thank you to the National Lottery.
And it's all part of mindfulness and Menofit with the lovely Kay and Joe.
I've worked with the lovely Kay and Joe before, and it's an absolute honour to have them delivering. Joe will be delivering the mindfulness course. That's starting in September at Pantake House. And we also have the lovely Kay and the lovely Joe delivering together Menofit. And it's a 6-week course on really just looking at the effects of the menopause and how you can manage those symptoms. As I'm sure anyone who is experienced the perimenopause and menopause, they understand that it isn't the easiest of conditions to navigate.
You know, looking for the course material and everything that's been put together for it, it's going to be a very educational 6 weeks for people.
Yeah, it seems really insightful, and I think it's such an important course to go on. And I think because a lot of women go through the symptoms of menopause and don't even realise sometimes it is a symptom of menopause, and they just sort of feel they're at their wit's end of it and recognising changes, but don't understand that it's part of it. And I think sometimes to have that, not meaning to sound condescending, but to have that bit of education around it, to then recognise, that's what it is. It normalises it.
Yeah.
And then it helps you to recognise, well, there are ways to manage this. That's what the wonderful Kay and Joe are going to be doing for us, starting in September.
And they're also going to be doing it across Torfaen, so in Cwmbran, Pontypool, Blaenavon. It's all on our website.
Yes, it's all on the website to register your interest.
At torfaentalkscic.org.uk/Menofit.
Menofit, yes.
I still remember it. I'm amazed I can remember it now. But that's not the only thing that's been going on in the last couple of months or so.
So before we get into the other exciting things that we've had go on and what's coming up with Torfaen Talks, we've got a couple of thank yous.
Oh, we have to say massive thank you to Councillor Catherine Bonera for her small schemes money of £200 for our men's talk group in Cwmbran, which is every Wednesday at the power station 1 till 3. Yeah. Plug over.
It's going to go to lots of room hire and lots of tea and coffee to keep those conversations going. So thank you for that, Catherine.
And there's also a massive thank you to Nick Byrne as well for supporting Men's Space.
Yeah, our mental health champion, Nick.
And if that wasn't enough, we have been blessed, I think the word is, in the last couple of months.
Yes.
With the amount of support from people. And it's not just financial, it's been lots of conversations in the background too, so we appreciate every single one of them too. But Rhea and Johnny, they had their vow renewal, didn't they?
Yeah, so Rhea and Johnny from Front Row Food renewed their wedding vows, and as part of their day they asked not for any gifts or anything like that, but for if people could give a money donation to a mental health organisation, and we were very lucky to be that mental health organisation. So they raised £220, and that will help to go go towards our pay what you can counselling sessions. We're very fortunate that we do have clients who are able to pay, and that goes towards the room hire. But there are times are hard and friends are few, as they say.
Absolutely.
And some people are not able to afford that room hire. So thank you to Ria and Johnny, because that helps those people who are unable to pay for that room hire, and it goes towards at least 12 counselling sessions that they can have for that. So thank you so much, Front Row Foods, to Ria and Johnny. Thank you for that.
We have lots of other things in the mix that we're up to at the moment.
Yes, and we don't want to bombard you with it all straight away.
No, not yet, no, because we've got lots of things to talk to and people to talk to as well, because across the summer I've been out and about.
You have, with Tom Maloney and discovering Lasgarn Woods.
So Tom, you were born in Pontypool, now you live in Aberystwyth. How have these places influenced your connection to nature and well-being?
Okay, well, I think as we were just walking down the hill, Patrick, getting over that idea that walking down this hill and come say to the Lasgarn here, it's just like going into another world, really. I mean, we're standing on the bridge now over the Afon Lloyd, and we've got the gentle trickle of water, we've got the sound of birdsong. This place, I think, means such a lot to me, and I think it always has, but I would say probably it's more in recent years that it's become more important. It's a really, really special place, and I wonder if we're all guilty of maybe not really understanding what's just in front of us. And I think a few years ago I took a deliberate kind of decision really to try and get to know the area better. I think I was maybe looking forward to holidays, perhaps the annual holidays, far too much, and not really thinking about, hang on, maybe I could get some of that pleasure, some of that good stuff on a more regular basis if I got to know my own locality a little bit better. It really does mean something important to me. And Cymraeg, I'm doing dysgu Cymraeg, I learn Cymraeg. Lle Arbennig, it's a really special place.
Absolutely, and where we've come now, we're just metres away from the main road going from Pontypool to Blaenavon, and it is, like you say, it's another world.
It's a real gateway here. I sometimes think I've lived different lives here. My first kind of living experience in Aberystwyth, I spent 10 years living on Frood Road, and I didn't even know what Frood meant, and I had no idea of what the Frood was. Now, in my second lifetime here, I really sort of pushed the game a bit now. I understand what Frood is, and it's a lovely Welsh word for a fast-flowing stream. And by heck, there's a beautiful fast-flowing stream just the other side of this valley. And I think the Lasgarn's the same for me. I've really got to know it now. And, you know, this little bridge here over to the Lasgarn woodland is just like a gateway for me. As soon as my little feet or my legs start trotting across it, I know I'm on for something absolutely lovely. Hyfryd yn Cymraeg, hyfryd iawn. In fact, it's there's nothing better.
What inspired you to the filter square, the square mile? Seriously, you did for Nation Cymru. How did working on that affect your own well-being? How did that all come about?
I can't take credit for the idea. The idea came from an absolutely amazing gentleman, John Gower, who's an accomplished publisher, broadcaster. He's quite an amazing fellow, really, and I think he'd seen something in my tweets and invited me to write a letter from Aberystwyth first, and as you might expect, my letter from Aberystwyth was from the Lasgarn, and a little bit about my love of the Lasgarn. But then a little while later, I had an email, I think, asking me would I like to think about writing a series for Nation Cymru. And when he said that, I thought, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but I hadn't quite got the right idea first. I thought maybe John was thinking about a week of articles, and then when we had a chat and he explained what he wanted was a year of articles, one a week, I thought, ooh. And then I thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go, because there's so much here. We've just completed the series. It never felt like a burden. It was always something special each week. There was no plan in the sense that right at the beginning we mapped out the 52 weeks. It was very much this week, what do I fancy? And it worked. I think it's worked. I I've really enjoyed doing the series, and I featured the Lasgarn several times. It was, I think, something very important for me doing the Evictus Square series, and a huge thank you. Diolch yn fawr iawn, enfawr, absolutely, to John Gower.
Shall we continue our little walk?
Yes.
So we've moved now to the very start of the Lasgarn. Now, you've spoken about stepping outside your front door and seeing wonder. How can people, and this is a bizarre question, how can people cultivate that kind of mindset, especially when life feels heavy?
I'm not an expert on this stuff, I suppose. All I can speak about is my own experience. And just as we walked into, we're literally only 5 metres into the Lasgarn, we felt a sense, even on the bridge, that we were entering into another world. And now, just 5 metres into the woodland, it's a different sense again. There's a...
The smells and everything. You feel whereas it's a warm day, really, here it feels very cool and chilled a bit.
Yeah, we've entered another calm, reflective space immediately. I'd like to mention another person, Ian Daniel, who works for Amgueddfa Cymru, enlightened me quite a bit recently on the concept of mindfulness. Now, I think we all use the word being mindful, but I have to confess, I didn't really know what it meant.
And a lot of people actually don't know what it means, but go on.
Okay, now Ian he said in a very nice way that if you're being mindful, you're putting the past behind you, you're putting the future behind you, you're just in the now. You're just enjoying, do you know what, I think, how many years have I been on this planet? I'm 64-ish, and give or take. And that was a bit of a concept for me, and thank you, Ian. It's made me think about the moments more. And just standing here now, talking to you, Patrick, I am in the moment. I don't think it's taking too much to lose thoughts of the past or the busy future. We're all too busy. We are all too busy. I think if there's anything I would say we need to do is take the time to stop, pause. These moments, they don't have to be in the woodland, by the way. They can be, I think, when you're in the kitchen. And maybe there's the aroma of what you're cooking. Enjoy that aroma and take it in. I really do believe that Ian has explained this to me in such a way now that I think if we approach life in a far more simple way, if we can, I know we can't always do that, it can't always be perfect. This little kind of way of understanding mindfulness. Don't think about the past, don't think about the future, just enjoy being in the here and now. I think that's a really important message.
And I suppose being in the here and now, and we're outdoors at the moment, we're surrounded by nature, which is very important with mindfulness too. It's about that moment of serenity, of calm, and also it kind of helps, I suppose, people to clear their minds, maybe become more creative too.
I think it'll help in so many ways. I think I was born with a pencil in my mouth. Art, nature, kind of pictures, or anything kind of that way, I think has always been part of my life. It's not always been easy in some ways because I was a late reader. Didn't learn to read until I was about 8 or 9, and I have to thank my father hugely for that. I think, that's helped me in so many ways. But I think they're all tied up in each other somehow. There's kind of a circle going on here, and if you step out of the circle, and it's easy to step outside that circle of kind of continuity of good stuff. If you step out of it, you kind of get lost, but as soon as you step back into the things that make you happy and appreciating those, and they really don't cost a lot of money. I don't know if I've got the answers for all of these things, but I think that there is something in just giving yourself a chance and trying to engage in those things that just make you happy. And we'll all be different. There's pawb yn wahanol. We're all different. So what will float someone's boat may be something different for somebody else. You've got to find your boat.
We ventured further up. We haven't gone all the way. You were saying as we were walking up here that this used to be the pathway for the quarry.
I'm pretty sure that before the Lasgarn was more well known as a woodland, this was the site of quarrying. Pretty much, I think, for the local ironworks, probably at the British, and maybe even down below for the Hambries as well. The workers would have lived nearby, and I'm pretty sure that this path has got a bit of history. And I sometimes imagine these old quarry walking up here. We got the sound of a chainsaw in the background, but my imagination does run a bit riot at times, and I often think about the work here, and there would have been the sound of the quarry tram road, the clank of the iron wheels on the trams, and I dare say a fair amount of swearing as well. Because I imagine in the days when, it was pretty tough work, I'd imagine there were days when the only way to get something off your chest was to say it loud, and I wonder how far it actually carried.
We've crossed over the Avon Lloyd, but then on the other side of the Avon Lloyd would have been the old railway too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you had the railway. I think probably the railway came after the quarrying here. The quarrying here would have been pretty much at the beginning of industry around the area. The horse-drawn tram roads were pretty much the forerunner of the railways. So it's an amazing pathway through this woodland, a significant section where you can easily recognise the old horse-drawn tram road. And I think even just above here, I think there's a little bit of tram road that's still in place, and yet it's easy to walk by it. I've done that so many, many times, and I'm only just starting to recognise it now. It's a woodland that's really full of so many things, and so many things to engage your interest, from the history, the heritage, through to that nature now. You can easily walk here, and you've got the sound of a buzzard overhead. You've got the woodpecker. A curious thing, woodpeckers. I've heard them a lot, but I've never seen one.
Really? A woodpecker's around here? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've yet to see one, but they are here in numbers as well, I think. Well, certainly towards the other side of the woodland. I hear them more over there.
So what would you say to somebody who's in the house at the moment listening to this, living in Torfaen, and wondering, where can I go? Can you give me a quick TripAdvisor-esque review of Lasgarn Woods?
I would say maybe the first step is, wherever you are in Torfaen, find what's on your doorstep. I think the easy thing, and I know I've been in this position where for many years I would get in the car to go for a walk. Now this is the thing, isn't it? Get in the car to go for a walk. And even before COVID, I started to realise that it was time to actually go for a walk from the front door. And I think that's what I would say. I think Torfaen, we're really, really fortunate. Luckiest Iawn and Torfaen. We have so many places that we're blessed with, really, wherever you are. And just make a decision one day. I'm going to just go for a walk from my front door.
Everything is on your doorstep, from down in the south, from Cwmbran to the north, to the Keepers, and obviously here today at Lasgarn Woods.
And I think the temptation probably would be to think, well, that's boring, I've done it before, but try to see it in new eyes, and then all of a sudden things transform. You start to look at things like, take the wild garlic, for instance. It for me, garlic wilt, ramsons, or allium ursinum, whatever you want to call it, I think. Once you start noticing these things, you start to realise there's a woodland clock going on. And like for wild garlic, I wanted to understand a little bit more of its lifespan. You believe it or not, you're starting to see the shoots late December, sometimes January. Okay. When you start to understand that and see it and you look for it, there's the pleasure. I mean, I love this time of the year. I love to see the garlic in blossom. It's beautiful. The scent is, well, mind you, it's not everyone's bag, I know. I love it. It is a real sensation, but understanding about the woodland clock gives you pleasure even more. And understanding that this all begins with tiny little shoots protected by the leaf fall of the autumn. There's even more pleasure from understanding that life cycle. The woodland clock, which is, I would confess that I used to think that everything happened in the woodland in the spring and summer. But there's stuff going on in the autumn and the winter too, and things are happening. Taking the time to maybe educate yourself a bit, I suppose, because I was totally ignorant of that, if I'm honest.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much for bringing me to Lasgarn Woods today.
No problem at all. I hope you've enjoyed it.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610. And we're back. now in the studio, and Patrick's managed to have a slight breather.
Would you like to know a bit of a BTS behind the scenes? It was a lovely summer's day. The summer's been amazing.
We have had a good summer, yeah.
And, I'm thinking, let's go up there. I'd be able to do that and then pop off to Men's Talk in Cwmbran. Not a problem at all. Yeah, great. I wasn't wearing the right shoes.
No.
I was wearing slip-ons. Not slippers, slip-ons. And let's face it, when you're going up the incline up to Lasgarn, it wasn't suitable. He's also, I want to say threatened. He's also suggested...
Gently persuaded.
I join him again because obviously the seasons change.
Yes, yeah.
And that vista all around us changes every single time. And you heard him talk about the different views of the different times of year. It's not just one season for growing. It changes every single time he
I think
goes
you
up
had a
there.
huge lesson on nature around you, really. And I think when you're driving Cwmbran Road and you don't realise up sort of the Blaenavon to Pontypool and you look to the side of Lasgarn View, you don't realise what is going... it's a huge forestry, really.
It is, yeah.
And just the colours of it, the change of the seasons is absolutely beautiful. And that sort of links me into our next... We are approaching autumn, and as we're recording this, it's raining. Botanic Possessions, the lovely Kate, is going to be doing an autumn wreath for us in October. And that sort of leads into sort of a gentle launch into our next project, which is going to be Friendship Club.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we're just gaining ideas, but it's going to be a women's only space on a Friday evening, once a month. Hopefully going to be a space where women can come together, of like-mindedness, and not really sure how to make adult friendships as an adult, and what you do, so it's kind of, let's create a space where women can come together and have conversations, be creative or active, or we want all different things. So this is why we'd really love your ideas, really, of what would you like to see at Friendship Club. And we've had ideas so far for wreath making and things like that. We've also had, arts and crafts, book clubs, and different groups. So
speakers as well.
Yeah, guest speakers. If you would love to be part of Friendship Club, it'll hopefully be launching soon for a Friday evening once a month. Then please drop us your ideas and, send us a voice note or a WhatsApp message. Then that would be really great. We're really interested in your ideas.
So it's all about creating that safe and inclusive space for women.
For women,
And as people have been approaching you and asking you of how do you make friends as an adult? And that's probably one of the biggest mysteries ever. You make friends via work, school. When you get to an adult, what do you do?
It's difficult because you are then left to your own device, really, and where your life takes you.
There's no commonality, is there?
No.
It's not something, it's not people that you work with. It's not a sports club you're part of.
No.
It's
and we don't walk around anymore, sadly, and saying, what's your favourite dinosaur? Do you know what I mean?
Well, what's your favourite dinosaur?
Diplodocus.
Oh, I love a Diplodocus.
It's the ones with the long necks. No one walks around and talks about what their favourite things are anymore, and because that's not seen as adulting. It's kind of, what's your favourite air fryer now? And it's just, that does not interest me.
Well, I wasn't about to ask what is your favourite air fryer, but
I don't have one.
I mean, I'm going, okay. That's a fairly pointless question for me to ask.
But equally, I understand and appreciate that some people do have favourite air fryers, and that's what they want to talk about. And that is what this club is about.
Yeah.
It is making sure you meet with like-minded ladies to talk about what you want to talk about. And there's no judgments to it. So I'm not even judging you if you do want a conversation about air fryers. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And it should all be celebrated. So that's what Friendship Club's going to be about.
Looking forward to that.
So let us know your ideas. Part of Friendship Club is listening to other people's stories and getting to know people on whatever level it is you want to meet with them. And that is something we're very interested in.
Yeah, because you talk about a new thing. We have another new thing with a podcast, because you're listening to this podcast now. Hi. We've been toying with the idea of developing either this podcast series or another one. Mm-hmm. And it kind of came from a conversation we've been having about something that happens in the Netherlands.
I believe it's the Netherlands. And basically it's in their libraries. They would have people with all different occupations and life experiences to sit in the library so people could come along and chat with them and find out about their life. And I read that article, and as much as the country might not have stayed with me, the article did. And I thought, what a great idea to sit with someone from all different lives, all different backgrounds, all different classes, all different experiences, occupations, just different views, all of that. And it really interested me. And I thought that would be great. So maybe it doesn't have to be a physical space, but to create a space like a podcast and to invite those people in to talk about their lives, because everyone is interesting.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
You may think, when you're listening to the likes of some of these other big podcasts with celebrity, you're hearing their life story, which is interesting, it's entertaining, but there are so many stories I've been hearing when I've been recording for this in the last year or so.
Yeah, you've already started recording.
It's kind of like the people you hear and the stories you hear, you think, well, actually, that's relatable. It's just somebody who's,
Or just what's going under the surface. You meet people and you listen to them, and what is going on sometimes isn't what's presented, and I think that is so fascinating. Yeah, I'm excited to hear the podcast myself, because I haven't heard any of what you've recorded or who you've interviewed or anything like that, so it's going to be good for me to hear.
The aim of it will be 6 episodes to start with, and if anybody else would like to take part, always welcome.
Yeah.
And one of the first episodes, I caught up with somebody from Torfaen who's very well known. If I say the name Ben Black, maybe you may not be aware. But if I say Cwmbran Life, you'll know who we're talking about. I caught up with him in Fairwater Shops a couple of months back, and it's going to be part of the series. So
this series is going to be called what, Patrick?
Going to be called... I'm so glad you reminded me. We talked about it. No, we're going to call it Life Library, because it's a library of people's lives. So it kind of does what it says on the tin. But yeah, Life Library, 6 episodes in a season. And the first episode, would you like a little teaser with Ben Black from Cwmbran Life? How did Cwmbran Life come about?
Let's go back 25 years.
Wow.
This will be a quick story. Okay. 25 years ago, I worked for the South Wales Argus, print journalist. Was there for a little over a year. Brilliant, fun-filled, story-filled year. Just loved it. I left, went into PR, comms, worked for the local council actually. I've always been fascinated and love local news and the importance of it. So back in 2010, 2011, I was reading a lot about these hyperlocal websites that were starting up across the country. I used to get a magazine called Press Gazette for journalists. And there was a feature on a number of sites across the country, including a couple in London, the Midlands, and it just intrigued me about how, when I worked for the Argus, you needed a printing press. You needed sub-editors, you needed all these things, before you get a story published, which is obviously, it is really important. But now with the advent of websites and all the rest of it, the barriers to entry are a lot less. So I thought, and with my job in PR comms, learning about websites and stuff was a bit interesting anyway. So I thought I could just start a website. And another part of it was I would pick up local newspapers and I'd think, there's so much more stuff going on in Cwmbran. I'm seeing stuff every day with my own eyes. Yeah. But it's not in the paper. Obviously online was growing and I thought, I'm just going to do it, do it very different to what a newspaper would do, how I approach stuff. In fact, the very first or second story I did, I actually walked around Fairwater Shops and took photos and said, over the coming year, I'm going to try and interview a lot of the people in these shops or do something on it, It was that real local level. It would never make a local newspaper anyway. And my first post in August 2011 was just why I love Cwmbran. I can't remember what I wrote. I had no idea about pictures and uploading. It was just like, there's a WordPress website, free website tool. And I just started and walk down the street and see a poster for a lost dog. Yes. And I go, I'll take a picture of that, put that on my website. At that time, I wasn't using social media as much. I wasn't using for Cwmbran Life. I grew into how I use that. But yeah, WordPress a website, which is still there with thousands of stories on it. It's still used every day, but it's grown a bit into the social media side of stuff as well.
It's been quite a journey for the last 25 years, and so from WordPress as a blog to now social media, it's going to be interesting the next 25 years, I guess, as well, isn't it? I
haven't touched TikTok yet, so yeah, it's just time, I stick to what I know I can do and I have time for, and my daughter helps me with a few things like Cwmbran Life. She's good, but yeah, I can't do everything. So
no, absolutely. So It does a fantastic job of showcasing local stories. How have you seen these stories impact the well-being of Cwmbran and the wider community?
Because the only person who decides if something goes on in my life is me. It's quite easy, in that it's quite easy how I approach stuff. If someone's going to be interested to people of Cwmbran, and it's going to help the people of Cwmbran, and other normal news stories as well, your traditional news stories, then I'll do it. So things that make people improve their health and well-being, make them feel better. So for example, young people. Things involving young people. I've got this bit of an issue over like a young person will be seen doing something, and I'll plug this out of thin air. They leave a can of Coke at a bus stop, and that becomes a social media post by someone, young people today. And yet, the young people I see, for example, Congress Youth Theatre, a couple of weeks ago, these production all shook up was amazing. They spent thousands of hours rehearsing for that. I was at Cwmbran High School a couple of weeks ago, watching their latest production. Young people do amazing things. I've done a couple of stories this last week on young people who've done amazing things in sport. Lily Grace Walden was in Amsterdam on the weekend. Figure skater. Theo, young taekwondo club member, has won a clutch of gold medals over the last 10 months since he started. And there's all that as well. There's things like parkrun on a Saturday. I do parkrun occasionally. People who are involved in little sports clubs get in touch with me, because nowadays when a club's got its own social media site, they often think we do social media, people know, but the internet is a pain in the backside. There's just too much stuff out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So anything, that gets people out and about, or get people, active or doing something differently. Yeah. I went to an arts and craft group down in Old Cwmbran about 3-4 weeks ago because I met the person that runs it at the Court Henters pub on a comedy night / Boys to Win sea shanty choir night.
Right. Okay.
People singing, having a laugh. Yep. Well, it was fun. People just clapping and smiling. It was brilliant. She invited me down, and the thing that hooked me was she said, we have like 45, 50 people every week. And I couldn't believe that was the case. But it's a free arts and craft course, and she's done it because some of the barriers of arts and craft are around like buying lots of stuff you might need.
Yeah.
So she's had funding from a few sources. When I click publish on something like that arts and craft story, there's lots of comments, where is this? How do I sign up? Do I just turn up? It's that little thing where there's a 2D screen here with a story on it, and you see some comments. There's often just too many. And the thought of someone reading that and going,
I'm going to go there.
My dad's going to go to that.
Yeah,
I'm going to
exactly,
go to that. And them going to it and they're joining something. Someone's seen a 15-year-old taekwondo student. I did a story on a female boxer from Torfaen Warriors last week who's just joined the club. Well, Torfaen Warriors, they train about 200 metres from here by Cheeky Monkeys. She won her first 2 fights, and the thought of like a young schoolgirl going, Mum, Dad, I'm going to start boxing.
Absolutely, yeah.
From seeing it and going, you can't do this. I think if you can see it, you can do it, and being able to publish something, and then I don't ever know what happens next. If someone does join or memberships go up. I get feedback off people. We had phone calls, we had messages, we had we thought that we've done something with it. But when I get that kind of feedback, I love it. It makes me happy, knowing that someone's.
In a way, that's kind of what makes it worthwhile. Some of the comments sometimes we hear is there's nothing going on, but the reality is there's so much happening, but there are very few outlets for people to find out. And as you say, the internet is a big place. The word of mouth thing, maybe somebody's son or daughter has seen something on Cwmbran Life and then goes, Dad, Mum, this is happening down the road,
Find us on social media at Torfaen Talks CIC. For more details about what we do, look on our website, torfaentalkscic.org.uk. So that was a little snippet there of Life Library.
Yeah.
Our new podcast is going to be launching soon, with Patrick hosting it, and with the first episode being with Ben Black from Cwmbran Life.
Yeah. Would you like to hear another bit of intel, as it were?
Oh.
Because...
Or gossip or something.
A bit of gossip? I'm never one to gossip. How very dare you? It'd been recently to Buckingham Palace. Mm-hmm. Now, this is how long ago we recorded this. And he's given 3 tips if you want to meet King Charles.
King Charles.
King Charles, not Prince Charles. Tip number 1, stay away from the tallest person. Tip 2, keep away from a drunk person.
Okay.
Tip number 3, wear something bright or be next to somebody wearing something bright.
Okay. So if you're tall, drunk and you wear dark clothes, you're never going to meet King Charles, is what I'm hearing there.
Absolutely, yeah. So Life Libraries is coming very soon.
Coming soon.
On this episode, then, we've been talking about lots of different things that have been happening across the summer. We've been here, there and everywhere. And also things which are coming up too, including...
Yes, well, it's coming up and it's more of an ongoing thing, really, for us. So we have been working with the amazing Andrea from Happy Kids Wales, and she delivers a 6-week course for children and young people called Chill Skills.
Yeah.
We have been lucky enough to have been awarded
funding from the Regional Integration Fund with Torfaen Voluntary Alliance.
Yes, and, better known as RIF and better known as TVA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lots of acronyms and initials. Lovely.
Yeah, so that funding is going to help us to deliver another 4 sessions.
Yeah.
of the 6-week Chill Skills program with Andrea.
Chill Skills, it's for the children, but it's also for parents too.
Yeah.
And caregivers and guardians to be involved and to learn tools. And
if your children are really struggling with anxiety, if they're really not in a good sleep pattern or anything like that, Andrea, a 6-week course, really looks at every element, and she sort of molds it for what cohort of children and parents are with her as well. Say if it was more, actually this cohort is really looking at frustration and anger, she sort of molds it to that as well. So she works with those children that are there on that course, and it's always full. So thank you to TVA, because it's going to be launching another 4 for us that Andrea can deliver.
Absolutely. And to get more information about that, it's on our website at torfaentalkscic.org.uk/chill skills. So from that then, this month is World Alzheimer's Month. And in the future, we are doing a podcast series with the Aneurin Bevan University Health Board and the Dementia Friendly team about different subjects around dementia.
So you will see a lot of things in September for the Alzheimer's Society and Dementia UK, because September is raising awareness for Alzheimer's and dementia. And that's when you see a lot of memory walks in memory of people. My grandmother herself died of Alzheimer's. It is a cause that's close to my heart. And I think the more there is research on it and awareness of it, it just helps us to look at how we can help those people with memory loss. And it is on the increase, sadly.
And all the support that's available in the area. In Cwmbran Library, there is one there every single day. Every time the library is open, the Dementia Hub is there. Yeah. So as I said, we have a podcast series coming up very soon, but as a taster of that, I caught up with Aneurin Bevan University Health Board. Joined today then by Amanda and Sonia from Aneurin Bevan University Health Board. Now, can you give us an overview of the work that's been done to improve dementia care and support across Gwent, and how different organisations are working together?
Yes, thanks, Patrick. So really this work came about because of the All Wales Dementia Care Pathway of Standards, which we have here in Wales, and that helped us. It identified standards to kind of support and help the work in improving dementia care. People from all backgrounds, from social services, health, the third sector, people living with dementia and their families, all came together and thought, well, what do we need? We know we need to improve dementia care and support. And they came up with lots of standards, over 100. And we're currently working on 20 of those standards. And the standards, they cover everything from diagnosis right through to end of life. So we're working on those 20 standards currently in Gwent, looking at how we can implement and embed the standards. So that's supporting our work to improve dementia care, and it sort of gives us a framework. And we're doing that working in communities all across Gwent. So we've got 5 local authorities in Gwent, and we're working with our communities, community engagement. We also have what we call a listening campaign. And that's where we spend time in each community listening to the community, the people who work and live in the community, people living with dementia and their families, about what works well in their community in terms of dementia, what dementia support services, what do they know about dementia, what are the barriers, what could we do to improve access, information, diagnosis, post-diagnostic support, all of that. And it's for everybody in the community. This is from, people from young people right through all demographics, all age groups, doing a lot of work with schools, doing a lot of work with across kind of intergenerational, we call it. So with young people, youth academies. So that work is helping us to improve dementia care and support by finding out what is working, what's currently working well, and what we could do to improve. And of course, all of this can only be done through partnership working. And so partnership working, it encompasses everybody. Again, so it's our volunteers, people living with dementia, people from local authority, third sector, everyone in the community coming together to support this programme, to support this improvement. And by listening to people, by listening to their ideas, by listening to what is working well and how we can make differences. And although we're doing this across Gwent, each local authority is unique in terms of their communities, their population, and just geographically. So what will be needed, say, for example, in Newport, or what's working well or is appropriate there, might not necessarily be a priority in Monmouthshire, for example. So again, it's about listening to the people in the communities. And how do we know then that we are making those improvements? Well, again, looking at feedback, looking at how do we kind of measure impact, success, what is working well. So we do that by engaging with people living with dementia, their families, and the community themselves to get that feedback, both quantitative and qualitative, in terms of looking at what's working well. So that's kind of the basis and the foundation. And from that, then we develop groups, systems, services in accordance with that.
What are some of the biggest challenges that people living with dementia and their carers, what do they face in Gwent today?
One of the challenges is around diagnosis. First of all, making sure that people understand, signs and symptoms and understand, when might they need to go to their GP, and making sure that they understand how they can be supported or what they might need to say, or even to identify any changes that they're seeing in themselves or somebody they know, and then getting that kind of access to a GP, and then from there access to a memory service. So all that kind of diagnosis, if there's any waiting times around diagnosis, that can be a challenge for people. Also information about what to expect around diagnosis, around attending maybe the GP or the memory assessment service or the clinics, what they can do. For some people, they may be scared. They might not know. It can be a very uncertain time. So that's kind of a challenge for people. And then the waiting, if they're waiting to see somebody in clinic and then maybe waiting for that diagnosis. And then post-diagnostic support. So if they do receive a diagnosis of dementia, a challenge can be what to do, next steps, where to go, what does it mean? So that can be a challenge for people, understanding it, because there's lots of strategies, there's lots of things and information that if people have that, people living with dementia and their families, that can make a difference. We know that we're talking about a disease that is progressive. So we don't have a cure, but there are things that we can do in terms of lifestyle and support that can make a difference to people and their families. Then, of course, learning and development can be a challenge because we want to bring that awareness to people. So we know that we can make a big difference in our communities, everyone living and working in our communities and services, if they have awareness of dementia, if they really understand what it is, what it means, and how, support and awareness can make a big difference to people. And then I suppose a big challenge would be around the hospital charter and people's experiences of going into hospital, whether it's visiting a hospital as a kind of a day patient, whether they're an inpatient, if they have to go through the emergency route. So we're doing a lot of work to improve the hospital experience, to ensure that we avoid that kind of crisis admission. And if people have to go into hospital, doing everything we can to optimise discharge and making sure that the person living with dementia and their family and friends and support, that everyone is involved in that. So we're doing a lot of work to raise awareness about that, to empower people about what works well and what they can do if they have to use our hospitals around Gwent, and working a lot with staff around awareness and even improving the space within our hospitals. So these are some of the challenges we're working on and making a lot of progress. But again, it relies on all of us working together.
Why is it important to focus on early intervention and brain health, and how is that being prioritised locally?
Early intervention and brain health is a big priority for us in Gwent and nationally across Wales as well. All the health boards and areas are focusing on this. We know now through the Lancet research that we have 14 risk factors for dementia. And so we're working with our communities to bring this awareness, to educate people and bring that awareness about what those 14 risk factors are and all the things that people can do. So we're talking about modifiable risk factors. So things that people can do around kind of lifestyle, whether it's nutrition, whether it's exercise, making sure that people are aware of, if they've got diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, some of these things that people can get checked easily with their GP. It is really important because it empowers people, it gives people information, and it also helps us to generate discussions about what dementia is, because sometimes people can think that dementia is something that happens to us all as we get older, and it's not a natural part of aging. Or they can get confused and think, oh, it's a mental illness, which it is not. It is caused by diseases of the brain. So what we can do is we can bring that discussion when we talk about brain health. Brain health is something that we all need to consider, regardless of age, ethnicity, background. So it's something that's appropriate for all, and it helps us then to give people that information. So we're doing a lot of work. We run the sessions with everybody. A lot of the information we discuss around brain health and the risk factors and how we can look after ourselves and the difference that can make and the benefits to us. It's also useful for people living with dementia because, as I previously said, dementia is a progressive disease. However, how a person lives and some of the, in terms of their kind of their diet, their well-being, engagement, social activity, physical activity, that can really make a difference to them. So that information that we discuss in brain health is equally important for people living with dementia. So we've been going out into the community, out into schools, with people all ages, having that discussion, bringing that awareness. And there's lots of information and literature on the internet and people can easily access. And it's done, there's user-friendly, there's videos, we do quizzes. So we really make it kind of informative and engaging. It's not judgmental. We're not judging people for how they live. It's just really kind of thinking about those little steps that we can all take to improve our brain health, and then getting people to think about dementia and what it is, and maybe how we can work to reduce those for some people who may be at risk of dementia. So people, for example, who may have mild cognitive impairment, which isn't a type of dementia, but they may be higher risk. So that brain health message and the risk factors and some of the strategies and information can really benefit them. We do this as well through our dementia hub. So in Gwent, we're really fortunate. We've been able to set up a dementia hub in each local authority area across Gwent. And these are spaces that anyone can attend Monday to Friday. They're open every day of the week, and they will now be staffed. So there will be somebody there from 11 to 3, and you can pop in, you can have a cup of tea, a conversation, anyone can attend. You can attend any of the hubs, even if you don't live in that area. And if you want any information about brain health, about the risk factors for dementia, about any type of dementia, if you're awaiting a diagnosis, if you're concerned about possible changes in your cognition, or you're worried about someone, if you care for somebody or you're a family member or friend, we can provide a whole host of information. You can take away any of the leaflets or booklets for free, and you can find out and have a conversation. And you can also have information and access to what's happening locally in that area. So that information will be live and up to date to support people. You know, this work in terms of early intervention and brain health, we're trying to do this through our dementia hubs, raising that awareness, getting people to think and support them if they've got questions. Because we know understanding and awareness is really helpful for people who may be worried or have seen changes, just want to make kind of changes to their lifestyle, or they identify that they have some of the risk factors. So, for example, we've worked recently with colleagues in our brain injury unit, and some of those people were concerned that they're a higher risk of having dementia. But by looking at the other risk factors and saying, well, look, yes, you may have this brain injury, but there are other things that you can do in terms of lifestyle and looking after your brain health and your physical and mental well-being. That kind of empowers people, and they think, oh, right, okay, that's great. So we've been able to do that. We sometimes get women as well who are concerned and think maybe they're showing signs or symptoms of a type of dementia when really it's linked to the menopause. So we've done some work with the menopause nurse around that, and again, she's taken away the risk factors to support people and to bring that awareness and to have that discussion. So we get a whole range of people kind of engaged and are looking for that information or support, and they can do that. We can go to people and provide those sessions free, or they can pop into any one of the dementia hubs and have that information or those conversations. But really what we want to do is we want to create understanding and awareness, which really supports early intervention and encourages people to come to get in contact if they have any concerns. We know that early diagnosis, if people do have dementia, is really key in terms of support. And for some people, they may be eligible for medication, which can delay the disease. That depends on them coming kind of earlier on. So we're able to provide that information and support.
Do you talk then about the dementia hubs and dementia advisors? How have they made a difference in the lives of individuals and families?
So the feedback we get from people, and again, the dementia hubs, the dementia advisors, this all came about because of feedback from people living with dementia and their families. You know, people would find it really stressful or really difficult if they were passed from one service or on one person to another, and they were having to repeat their story or what was happening. So having a dementia advisor, that person from the point of diagnosis, that knows who you are, that understands your diagnosis, that understands your specific needs, because for everybody it will be very individual. So dementia is an umbrella term, but for everyone it will be, you know, depending on the type of dementia they have, depending on lots of different circumstances and factors. And that dementia advisor can tailor that support to that person and their family and make sure that they kind of have the information or signposted to the relevant services or agencies that will support them. And the dementia advisors work from diagnosis right through to end of life. And there will be various changes or support that will be needed at different points. It would be really overwhelming to have all that information in the beginning, and some of it will be relevant at different points and not at others. So the dementia advisors are key. They're also embedded in our memory services, so they attend what we call MDT, multidisciplinary team meetings. So again, they're able to go into those spaces and have conversations or raise concerns or advocate or ask questions on behalf of the person or the family members. So it's that joint working that makes a real difference. The dementia hubs, then we can work collaboratively, because the dementia hubs, although we have the dementia advisors sitting there, we have the idea is that lots of agency, that multi-agency work, and that we all work together. So we will often go and work from the hubs one day of the month, or certain days that we will have different agencies from local authority, health, third sector, all working from the hub, providing information and support, because it's not just about one agency or one service. So the hubs provide us with that opportunity in the community to respond to people, to provide information, to hear what people's questions, to receive feedback, what's working well, what improvements have we made, is it working, is that what people need, how can we change things, what are the concerns, what are the ideas. So the hubs provide us with that opportunity and that space to work together. And as I say, we currently have one in each local authority area. And it's also a safe space for people because it's in the community. It's not kind of a clinical environment. Sometimes people can find that a bit daunting. So it's a community space. People can have a cup of tea. People can go in and ask any question. You don't need to have an appointment. You don't need to live in the area if you don't want. You can ask whatever you want. You can take information. If you don't want to speak to anyone, you just want to take some information, you can. So it's a really great opportunity. And again, it's based on feedback from people saying that they really, you know, would love to have somewhere where they could go and have that access to information and support and advice in their community. So yeah, and it's something that we're reviewing and evaluating all the time. We've based it on the Swansea model. So they have a dementia hub in Swansea, and we've based it on that model. And they've recently received gold accreditation for their hub, which shows how well they're working. And we follow that model to implement that all across Gwent.
Sonia, thank you. To Amanda, so we've heard lots then talking about the support available across Gwent, but can you tell me, Amanda, more about the Herbert Protocol?
Very lovely. Yeah, great question. So the Herbert Protocol is what we call a safeguarding scheme. So the scheme helps locate people living with dementia who are maybe in the community, who have taken a leave from the place of residency. And the form was developed in response to a George Herbert. He, the gentleman with dementia, lived in a care home, who often liked to go out into the community. And staff were concerned about his whereabouts and his timely return. So the form was developed in combination partnership with the police service in the area that he lived. And the form helped them locate George as quickly as possible by including really vital information for the police to be able to act on in a timely manner. The purpose obviously was to get George back to his place of residency, but using the information that the people caring for him already knew about him, such as where would he like to go? What's his name? What would he like to be known as? As we know, people don't always go by their given name at birth. So things like what medication that they might be taking, what routines they might follow, given information about their physical appearance, the type of clothes that they might be wearing when they leave wherever they're resident at. That information is held on file along with identifiable markers. So it might be a particular tattoo or something that somebody might be carrying. And often a most recent picture is added to that form. That form is then submitted to the police by the carer or family, or actually the person themselves if they're concerned about any future deterioration in their dementia state. And then that form, should that person go missing or isn't returned in a timely way, they can pull on that information and use it to target a focus search. So if an example of that, if somebody I know who often would go every day to the bookmakers, he'd have a walk into town, he'd go there. So if he went missing, the first protocol would be to that place. They would check that out, and then they would spread their search and connect with people within the community according to their findings. So anybody can complete a form. Then that's, as I say, held with the police, and it's important that information, if it is held with the police, is updated. So as people progress through their journey of dementia, changes may occur, and it's important that those changes are then updated and used. So very much about safeguarding, ensuring that people can carry out their routines and rituals as safely as they can. Nobody wants to stop somebody doing what they need to do within the community, especially if it's lifelong interests and hobbies. So it enables people to optimize the amount of things that they can do, whilst raising awareness within the community that's an option and an extra layer of safeguarding.
That's really useful to know. So finally then, what do you hope people will take away from this about dementia care and support in Gwent?
The whole aim of the podcast was to raise awareness and understanding, to gain support from the people living within the community, whether it be on a personal or professional basis. We'd ask anybody that's listening to think about some of the things we've already discussed, and then take that back to their home or to their place of work and consider what can they do that would support this agenda, or could they do to support their colleagues and the people that they're caring for and their carers, to be able to support the person living with dementia, to ensure that we're maximising keeping people in the community for as long as they can, doing the very best that they can and getting the positive experience of living within that community. Part of that ask would be obviously to join our Dementia Friendly communities, which is a work stream that anyone can participate in, and spreading the word and getting involved as little or as much as you want to within that work stream. So we'll offer some contact details. So the Health Board have got a person-centred care dementia email address. We've got obviously the local authority and the regional partnership boards have got contact details, as well as that dementia-friendly communities contacts that Sonia's already discussed there. The takeaway messages are as little or as much as you can offer, raising awareness and understanding, whether that's having a dementia-friendly awareness session within your workplace or getting involved in one of the work streams, is as much as we would ask, and not to underestimate how much input that you can have to create Gwent as a dementia-friendly community.
Sonia and Amanda from Aneurin Bevan University Health Board, thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610.
lots of information there then about the Dementia Friendly hubs across Aneurin Bevan University Health Board area, because this month is World Alzheimer's Month, and we're actually doing a podcast series with them too, outlining different things about the dementia and all the different services and support available across the area.
Okay, well, all the information is out there, is important. With it being World Alzheimer's Month, September seems to have a lot of...
It does, doesn't it?
Things
Awareness,
attached to it, and a lot of awarenesses. But within that mix, there is also Suicide Awareness Day.
Yeah.
With that in mind, we have linked with the lovely Cherie from Four Minds, and she's very kindly said that she would deliver suicide first aid for free for community members of Torfaen. We've linked up with her.
I have actually done this course a couple of months back. It gives you an insight into something which is the most preventable death of all.
And it is sadly the most preventable death, and sometimes it's because with the word suicide, I know people flinch when you say it. We're not all about stigma and taboo, so we will just say the word.
We'll say the word, yeah.
We understand for some people it's difficult, but suicide first aid is about how you can help yourself if you feel that you are feeling that way. It's about how to talk to others if you know friends and family who may be feeling that way. It's all around how to engage in conversation with that person. And not be fearful, not run away and hide.
Bury your head in the sand.
Exactly. This course we're going to be running in Pontypool in the evening on the 22nd of September. There will be a link on our website and on our socials if you wish to join. It's just important to have those conversations and to be well equipped when someone does say they feel that way. Or if you feel that they are feeling that way, to ask that question.
Ask the question.
Are you feeling suicidal? It's okay to say it. Don't be afraid. You're not going to put that idea in their head.
No.
It's about just putting that conversation out there. And most often than not, someone will just say, oh, well, no, I'm not feeling like that, but thank you for asking. That's probably the worst bit that can happen. It's other than if someone is feeling suicidal and you don't ask.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe it's been a full episode.
So well done, everyone, for getting to the end.
Well, if you got to the very end, thank you very much.
This is the end.
This is actually the end of this episode today. We've talked about so much different things today about what we've been up to, what we got planned, who we've been talking with. And
it really is exciting times for Torfaen Talks. So if you are a listener or if you're a first-time listener, then just thank you for listening, really, because it's little things like this that really push the name of Torfaen Talks, and that awareness helps the right people to get the support that they need with their mental health. So thank you just for listening and sharing, and all of that really helps.
Yeah, because it's not just about, when we say about supporting us, it's not about financial support.
No.
It's about word of mouth. It's about telling people. If somebody is listening to this now and we've supported them, I've always said it's all about one person. Mm-hmm. It's not about the bigger picture. It's about that one person that you can help. And I say that for anybody.
Yeah, it's really lovely for me to hear when I ask, also, how did you hear about us? Yes, you get your good percentage of, social media. But most of all, we get, word of mouth. So-and-so taught me about you. That is just, you can't even describe that feeling. It's amazing that the word is spreading, and it's a positive word. And that is why we created Torfaen Talks.
It's been a journey, and it's a journey we're very thankful for you being with us on and supporting us, being our cheerleaders in every single way.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to the next episode.
Yes, we shall see you next time.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.